When I say Mavericks on the, you say move. Mavericks on the move. Mavericks on the move. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Mavericks on the Move. My name is Jamilah Corbitt. I am the creator and host of Mavericks on the Move, where we bring together entrepreneurs and business professionals to create symbiotic partnerships. Today, we're celebrating our first full season of recording. I'd like to thank all of our guests for sharing their time and expertise. I'd also like to thank you, the audience, for being part of this journey. We've had quite the interesting ride this year. When we come back, we'll recap some of my favorite moments from this past season. Stay tuned. Show the world you're a Maverick on the Move by grabbing your signature merch from our online store. Visit mavericksonthemove.com/shop to securely place your order. Worldwide shipping is available. Welcome back to the season recap of Mavericks on the Move. As entrepreneurs and business professionals, we're very ambitious. And one of the main concepts we've heard this year is that if you want to achieve any level of success, it first starts with your mind and belief systems.
So transformation, it's like what you were saying, it's all about from the inside out. And it's about really connecting to what is on the inside and what your voice says to you, what your inner voice says to you about how you want to live and how you want to be, how you want to show up in the world. It's really about being.
Now, we're approaching the time where people kind of fall off with their New Year's resolutions. Yep. So how can we make those New Year's resolutions stick? And what's the mindset behind creating New Year's resolutions?
So with New Year's resolutions, it's really about people thinking about all of the things that they should do. And when someone that I know would always say, you have to be careful of the shoulds and make sure that you're not shoulding on yourself. And you get to this place where you're like, oh, I should lose weight, I should eat better, I should do all of these different things. But if they don't really speak to who you are and where you are, then you can't really get to the place of holding on to them and really making it something, a lifestyle, and not just something that you're gonna do for a few minutes.
How can we shift that focus from out there to in here and focus on ourselves and not worry about what's happening on the outside?
So it's really about, what I tell people is to stay in your lane. And it's not about staying in your lane in a comfort zone, but staying in your lane and knowing who you are, where you are, and what you want to do for your life. Not focusing on what Jamilah is doing, what Susie is doing, what anybody else is doing, because if you try to get into their lane, you're out of place and you're not going to get to where you're supposed to be. Or you'll get there, but you're going and taking a detour that you didn't really have to take because you've just started doing something that you weren't meant to do.
And that's very interesting that you say when people come to you, they come to you with decades and decades worth of programming. Mm-hmm. Because when we're born into the society and immediately the programming starts. So at what age do we start developing those ideas of success and the success that we can possibly achieve in life?
There's no one answer to that. If you talk to researchers and scientists who are very left-brained, that's kind of where I came from. My undergraduate degree was biopsychology. So somebody with my background will say, starting from 2 to 6 years, that's when your brainwave activity is the same as what we get into when we're in deep meditation and hypnosis. So for example, say you want to get over smoking and you go to a hypnotherapist and they've opened you up subconsciously, and so they're able to get that message inside of you. Well, that's how kids are between the ages of 2 to 6, almost 100% of the time.
Like a sponge.
Absolutely like a sponge. But the thing with kids is everything is binary. So if somebody gets upset with them, that means there's something wrong with me, which means I've done something wrong. And if I've done something wrong, it means I don't deserve something as a result. Success, more money, a good relationship. It really doesn't matter what it is. So everything for kids, as we pick up as kids, is I'm good, therefore I deserve, or I'm bad, and therefore I don't deserve. So that's the programming. You use the perfect word. That's the programming that we work through.
And what do you think about affirmations? Does affirmations help with that at all?
People have a love-hate relationship with affirmations.
They do.
And there's just one reason for it. If you have an affirmation that your subconscious does not buy into, guess what? It's not going to work. The best way to deal with affirmations is to come with it in steps. So say you want to go from here to $1 million company, right? But today, if you were to say that to yourself, there's a piece of you that's like, yeah, right, that's not going to happen. So the next step is I would say, okay, what feels comfortable, uncomfortably comfortable? say a 6-figure business, right? Can we start over there? And then from there, we go even deeper and say, okay, what feels comfortable from there? Can we say something like, I'm not there today, but I am every single day getting there. Now, that feels subconsciously comfortable. I would recommend that as an affirmation over some of the pie in the sky thoughts that people have, and your subconscious like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
There are two different types of mind shifts. One is a fixed. That means that you think your intelligence, your skills, athletically, anything about you is fixed, that you are already talented and it's never going to change. Then there's a growth mindset. That mindset says if you learn, if you practice, if you prepare, you can increase your understanding, your abilities, your intellect. So what we have to do sometimes with people, and a lot of the clients I work with, we have to shift that mindset from a fixed place to a growth place. Because a lot of the times we're in a fixed mindset and we don't even know it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you think negatively, you just think limitedly as to what you can and can't do.
On top of all the mindset advice we've received this year, we've had some dope guests this season drop knowledge bombs about growing, scaling, and marketing your business. We'll get to that when we come back from the break. Today's show is brought to you by I Am a Brand, empowering you with the simple systems and tools to connect your products and services to the people that need them the most. PMI Silver Spring Chapter, practitioners of impact and a safe community for learning, growing, and enabling your professional development. Transformation Center of Excellence, integrating the behavior and management sciences for people and organizations to guide their transformation journey. The meat of our season was geared towards entrepreneurs who are starting and growing a business. Here's some of my favorite pieces of advice from some of our guests this year. How did you know you were ready to sell your business and move on?
Divorce.
Ooh.
Yeah, divorce will do that to you. But the good thing about it is, at that point in time when I was going through my divorce, initially going through the divorce, I didn't want to sell. You know, it's a lot of pride. I built it up. This was, I mean, when you're building your business, this is your baby. So initially I didn't want to sell. I wanted to continue to give it my all and things of that sort. But stress, marital issues, all of a sudden you're a single parent. It's a lot of stress that comes along with divorce, and that's when I actually did put it up for sale. It didn't sell.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, the process of the sale. So you decided, okay, I'm in this divorce, it's stressful, it's time to let go, it's time to exit my business, I want to sell it. What was the process? What did it take to get it sold? Like, did you put it on the market and then someone was like, oh, I want this business? How did it happen?
Well, by it being a franchise, the process is a little different. You have to alert the franchise that you do want to sell first and foremost.
Do they give you permission?
Well, if you want to sell,
do they have to give you permission?
Well, if you want to sell, yeah. If you want to sell, they kind of have to give it to you. It's not even a have to. It's just, okay, you want to sell, fine. Obviously, they want to keep you on board because it takes a lot. Just like getting a new customer, I'm a customer to the franchise. So it takes a lot, especially when you're looking at owning a franchise. It takes a lot to onboard somebody that's going to be a franchisee, especially after they vetted them, and somebody that's been on for a while, they would like to keep you. However, it is your decision if you do want to sell it. It is your business, and you have to do what's right for the business as well as yourself.
And this is after 10 years?
No, this...
How many years?
Well, the divorce happened, I would say, around 3 or 4 years in. So that's when I did put it up on the market. Once again, the difference with franchise versus a private-owned business is a lot of things have to go through the franchise. So the person, if you wanted to purchase it, I think you're a good fit. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what the franchise thinks, because you have to be a good fit for the franchise.
So the franchise qualifies
absolutely
the buyer.
Absolutely. So that's what can take the process from being the normal anywhere between 6 to 9 months to however long.
And how long did it take you to actually sell?
Years.
Woo!
It took me years. It was a lot of things that were involved with it. I did have a lot of inquiries with it. But once again, dealing with the franchise, the people that they had on board to help sell it did not pan out. So what I ended up doing was just taking it off of the market at that point in time. But the benefit was, with the inquiries that I was getting, I knew that my franchise was worth a certain amount. That was the beautiful thing about it. So when you're valuing it, like, I knew, okay, I had a good product on my hand. I had a good business that was able to sell and things of that sort. Even though the franchise, when I purchased, it was 3 years old, I was the very first one here in Baltimore. So the franchise was never even heard of, so I had to brand it and things of that sort. So I put a lot of money into, I would say, my very first year, well, my very first season, I think I put about $10,000 to $15,000 worth of marketing into my very first season, which carried over throughout the rest of the year and things of that sort.
Did you have a staff that helped you with this?
Not at first. Not at first.
You were doing it on your own?
I was doing it on my own, yeah. I was doing everything on my own. But as things grew, you know, and every location was different. I had about 5 different locations, and every location was different. Some locations I had to put more marketing dollars in, where other locations I didn't do anything, but it grew just because of word of mouth. So it's just understanding your area, your territory, and what you need to do, what you don't need to do to draw the participants that you need.
I remember when I first started getting my hair done by you, you were in a strip mall. Yes. And I didn't know at the time, because I was young, that was actually your business.
Yes, yes.
And so you're a seasoned vet because you were there, and then you ended up going into an independent location.
Yes.
But for our viewers who are interested in maybe opening up their own shop, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give them about opening up a business like that?
The biggest advice I would give is, number one, your location and how you want to do it. The strip mall, you're still bound by the management company and what they want from you. Similar to what he was talking about with selling to a franchise. When we were selling the business, the management company had to approve of who we had coming up that wanted to buy the business. So it's still not, okay, I have such and such, you know, we're selling it. It wasn't like that. They still had to have their business plan and other things approved by them, not just us. So that made it a little difficult. But with the second salon, which was we owned the property, we owned the land, we owned the whole structure. So we were able to do what we wanted to do, and they would just have to get their licensing through the Department of Licensing and Regulations. So that was a much easier transition because we owned our land, not just the business.
So you learned from that experience.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you was like, I'm just going to own my own land.
Absolutely.
And not have to worry about that anymore.
Absolutely. And the first business was me and my father. So he was very knowledgeable in finances and different aspects of that. And I was kind of, you know, just knew the industry and the hair. So we were made of just a great team.
That's awesome. That it was a family business.
Absolutely.
That's good. And what's the difference between having a franchise salon and an independently owned salon?
It was similar to your past guest. He was talking about how the franchise sets the standard of how you're going to do everything, and the products that you use, the styles that you're going to do, the type of prices you're going to set. They set all of that.
They have their own processes and procedures, intellectual property.
Exactly, even up to how you greet somebody, which doesn't work very well when you want to be an independent contractor and you want to show your own creativity.
And what are some of the pros and cons?
Pros and cons are, again, you have a label, a brand that's already established, so it's easier to build from that because they already have something that is a standard set for the industry. So I know if I'm coming here, if I want to buy the Dry Bar is well known. They have great, you know, products. They have a good business standard and a business model already in place. So if you're going to work and buy, if you're going to buy one of those, you're good, you know. But if you're going to do your own, you have to brand yourself, and you have to decide if you want to have a salon that is basically independent contractors, which are booth renters that do their, it's like everyone has their own business within the business, or if you want to do commission, which is people that are going to take a percentage of what you are already bringing into the salon.
And what's your ideas or your advice about sharing ideas with or without an NDA? At what point do we need to get that signature and say, hey, I'm not sharing this idea with you until you sign this?
Right. So as I mentioned, there are 4 forms of intellectual property. 3 of them you register: patent, trademark, and copyright. The 4th form is called trade secrets. And the law requires you to keep secrets secret. Now, everybody even the law knows that you can't do everything yourself. You're going to have to bring somebody in to help you. But how do you do that and still keep it mainly a secret from your competitors and from the general public? That would be by anybody that you bring in to help you, whether it's an employee, an independent contractor, a licensee that's going to make the products for you. You get them under a contract called a non-disclosure agreement that says, this is my stuff, this is my idea, this is my property, and you're not allowed to tell anybody else. And if you do, the courts are going to help me recover my damages that you did, the damages that you created by sharing my secrets. So why would you do that? You want to keep your thing a secret. You want to keep it your property. And at what point do you issue an NDA? Well, you can talk in general, vague terms about your product with anybody. But if you get into the nitty-gritty of how it's made or what's the secret sauce, you better have a non-disclosure agreement before you get into those kind of details.
What can small businesses do to improve sales performance and maximize bottom line results?
Well, the whole key is getting the right sales mix, and then growing your sales base. You can't be too reliant on a single customer or 2 or 3 customers, because if one of them leave you, you're going to have a problem. So you have to expand your customer base. You have to either retain your existing customers are always key. The next thing you do is go out and try to attract new customers. And then if you have existing customers, then you try to either upsell or cross-sell them on something. The restaurants are the best one. If you go and you sit down in a restaurant, the waitress always comes over, can I get you a drink? Can I get you an appetizer? When they're always done, do you have room for dessert? So they always try to upsell. So that's what it is.
And then sometimes they try to refill your drinks, knowing that drink costs $5 a refill.
That's it, because they're working on the revenue and they're working on tips.
Yes.
But there's one thing that people do that on sales that they sometimes don't, and that's sometimes you have to get rid of customers, believe it or not.
Wait. So let's talk about that. What do you mean get rid of customers? Like, well, I'm done with you.
Well, there's certain people that'll push your buttons or just make you spend so much time, and they don't really contribute to your bottom line, that you either do one of 2 things. You raise the price for these customers to make it worth your while, to give you the return that you need, or you just say, I'm sorry, no matter what I do, maybe it doesn't please you or something like that, and we're going to part ways. And more importantly, you can then spend that time on your better customers.
What would you say to the entrepreneur that's just starting out about their finances? What would you say to that person in how they manage their money?
Well, the first thing I'd say is if you're going to start your own business, it's very important to know and really understand your threshold for pain, because it is not easy.
It's hard.
It is very hard, and very few businesses start out making money. So there's going to be a time when you're either going through your savings, racking up your credit card bills, or borrowing from friends and family.
Been there, done that.
Right. And before you start, you need to know how far you're willing to go before the money starts to come in, and how far. And if you're on your own, nobody's dependent on you, you can go all the way down to the bottom pretty easily, and still be okay. So you know what? If this business doesn't work, I'm going to go out and do another one. Even if I end up, I'm penniless, that's okay. I'm going to start again. And there's some very successful people who did that in their lives. If you have 3 kids and a mortgage, you have to think about it a little more seriously. You might still be willing to mortgage, further mortgage the house to finance your business, but you have to know what that might entail later on. So knowing what you're willing to go through, and this is not coming from me, I got this from somebody else, but to succeed, I said, it's not so much what you're willing to do, but what you're willing to give up.
There's a lot of sacrifices on this journey.
A lot of
sacrifices. And you know about that because you deal with money.
That's right. Yes. And so then, so once you get started, you need to, any money you're spending, you need to spend money. when you start a business. You just need to spend it wisely. And a lot of times, people don't want to spend it on the really boring things that are really going to make the difference in the business itself. And your last guest talked about marketing. Now, marketing could be interesting, but people don't want to do it because there's a lot of expense up front, and it might take a little while to see the return on it. But, of course, how else is anybody going to know you're there? There are a lot of other things out there. You need a good attorney. You don't need to go to an attorney for everything, but especially in certain businesses, if you don't set up your contracts right, if you don't set up your employment agreements right or service agreements the right way, it's going to come back to bite you. Same with a good accountant who's going to keep you out of tax trouble and maybe even find money for you that you didn't know you could get back on your taxes. So spending that money on the things that count, the things that are going to allow you to be free to do what you want to do are crucial.
So what's the difference between inbound marketing and outbound marketing, and why is it important?
Sure. So that's a good question, and there's some overlap between the two. I would say with outbound marketing, it's a lot less personalized, and all the traditional forms of marketing probably fall under that category: cold calling, direct mail, stuff like that. Whereas inbound marketing is more recent because online you can do content blogging, you can do social media posting, and that's a way to kind of bring people towards you versus kind of forcing the sale on them. They can kind of find you just through searching for a business like yours on Google, and they find you through content, or they see you through their social media feed. That's a way you kind of develop the relationship organically before ever making a sale. And it's important to kind of have that set up as well, as opposed to just looking for the direct sale. But there's obviously some overlap between the two.
Business owners, entrepreneurs, we're very ambitious. Some people think they're going to put out a piece of content and automatically, boom, I'm going to get a customer. So let's set the expectations realistically. What's the ROI time on putting out content?
So it definitely depends on how you've identified your goals. So when you're looking at content ROI, just like any other type of marketing, it has to be tied to a business objective. So if you're a new entrepreneur and you're just trying to get, word of mouth going, you're trying to increase your brand awareness, then a metric that people often call a vanity metric, i.e. a metric that sounds really good, but it's actually not important, your followers on your social media handles. A lot of marketers will say, oh, those are vanity metrics, they don't matter. But if you're looking for brand awareness, reach, then those sorts of metrics would matter. If you have a new website, you wouldn't necessarily be tracking conversion rate, the people who give you their email address for your free ebook. You wouldn't necessarily be tracking that up front if your website is new. So you would be looking more at site traffic, which could also be considered a vanity metric. When you're looking at engaging in content marketing, you have to give it, I would say, somewhere between 6 to 12 months. So think about content marketing as kind of like your retirement investment.
Long game.
Account. A long game. You don't invest money every month into your retirement account and wake up expecting to see, oh, look, there's $1 million in that account.
I do. I'm just playing, I don't.
Are you working on your manifestation? Is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm doing.
Well, so my retirement account is kind of set it and forget it. But in terms of content marketing, there are a lot of ways that you can use content in the short term and still count on that long-term return. So in the short term, when you do something, let's keep it simple. You make a blog post. I send that blog post out to my email list. That includes current clients or customers and prospective ones, people who've shown that they're interested. Maybe I talked to them at a networking event. They said I could put them on their email list. So I email it out to them. So now they're checking out my content. When they click that link and they check out your content, that's building that brand trust. And they're also learning how to trust you. They're seeing what it is that you've got, basically.
And we talked about the sales funnel earlier with Chris.
Yes, and it all ties in, because without great content, it's hard to build that trust. And that is exactly what it is that you're looking to do. And so, again, same blog post. Now I'm putting it out on my social media channels, right? And so anybody who's in my social media channel will be able to see what it is that I've got to say there as well. You will typically see, and especially as an entrepreneur, you will typically see business partnerships and marketing opportunities come forth from your content marketing efforts sooner than you would see sales. But it's like I said, it's like a retirement account. It's a long-term investment. Give it 6 to 12 months as you put that content out there. You build your credibility. You build brand trust.
and that is when things start to come in. But don't be surprised if you get 1 or 2 that pop up ahead of time, especially if you meet them in person at a networking event, and then your content on your website just kind of backs you up, it backs up that first impression that somebody got from you at an in-person event. And so you can kind of see how all of these things start to play together, and how you can leverage, one type of marketing as you engage with people in, a different arena.
How do we come up with the brand promise? What is that?
So really that derives from what your purpose is. So the reason why you even start your brand, what differentiates you from your competitors, like what makes you different, what makes you unique, and the reason why, that you're doing this in the first place. And how you pretty much communicate that is a reason why people should purchase your product or choose you for your services. So that really deep down inside is the reason why that you're even running your business, that you're even selling your product. That promise of like what makes you different is exactly what your brand's promise is.
And it sounds like it exemplifies your core values, and those core values is the heartbeat of your company, and the heart connects with other hearts, and that's how you get the money, right? That's how you keep the money flowing.
Definitely make that connection.
And you're an SEO guy, search engine optimization. This is what you do. This is your bread and butter. You know it like the back of your hand. What is personal brand SEO, and why is it important?
So personal branding SEO is a different kind of thing. It's when people think of search engine optimization, they're usually talking about trying to get a website on page 1 of Google for a keyword. Like if you're searching for plumbers in Baltimore, you want your website to be on that page 1. Personal branding SEO is getting yourself, your own name visible on the internet in lots of different ways. And so it's kind of helping your personal brand become more visible throughout the internet without even a web page.
Okay, let's talk about how to do that. What does that mean? So you're telling me that I could be on page 1 of Google, which I am for my name anyway, because it's such a unique name. But for someone with, let's say, Mary Jones, a very common name, how would Mary Jones, that is an internet marketing strategist, get on page 1 for her personal brand SEO?
Step 1 is really, it's a multi-pronged approach. And so, especially if you have a name that's very common, it's a little more of an uphill battle to do that kind of thing. But what I would start with is the things that you have quick and easy access to, like social media. And so claim and optimize all those social media profiles with your name, with your personal name. Step 2 would be then start claiming some of those local directories related to the things you want to be known for. So if Mary Jones is a therapist, you want to make sure you sign up for a Psychology Today profile, even though it costs a little bit of money.
But it's worth it.
Absolutely. Every therapist practice I work with quite a few different therapy practices, and my number 1 recommendation, even before their website, is to get all their staff to have a profile on Psychology Today, because Psychology Today is well positioned in the search engines. If somebody's searching for a particular therapist in a local community, the Psychology Today is going to be on page 1. And if you're not in there, if you're not in that directory, then you're going to be missing that opportunity. So there's social media, there's the directories, there is other kinds of web platforms like About.me, personal branding websites. You can create a free Wix website that you can get on page 1 of Google for your name and for the things you do. There's also networking type groups, and a lot of those networking groups, they give you the opportunity. Chambers of Commerce do this as well. They give you, when you join a Chamber of Commerce or a business networking group, a lot of times they'll give you a profile, the opportunity to create a profile on that platform about yourself. You can link all your social media to it, and then that helps increase your visibility through that platform as well, which is going to be those platforms, especially like a Chamber of Commerce. Those are some of the most highly visible and ranked websites on the internet for business. And so if you're in there, then it's going to propel your own personal brand as well.
Those were really fun segments to record. After the break, I want to share some of my favorite families in business that have graced the stage. Don't go anywhere. If you're searching for a keynote speaker, panelist, workshop presenter, or host able to electrify audiences, Jamilah is the industry maverick you've been looking for. Visit JamilahCorbitt.com to learn more. Some people say you shouldn't mix family and business, but these guests don't subscribe to that philosophy and are making money moves with their familiar partners. What are some of the biggest challenges that you guys face as a family that does business together?
Yeah, I don't really think it's a challenge. I think it's more of a benefit, because we get a chance to work together as a family and build a stronger core relationship amongst all three of us that are in the business.
Which is kind of hard because we're already pretty close to begin with.
Yeah, it is.
So you're telling me you guys don't have any arguments? It's just all sunshine and rainbows at home?
No, but I do think that the benefits so far have outweighed all the challenges.
Yeah.
Just simply because it's so great to have other people to bounce off ideas with. As you know, or as everybody knows, businesses have their ups and downs, and you can have a lot of challenges. So it's great when you have other cheerleaders that are so close to you that can be like, you got this, power through. But also you find people that react better to maybe someone male, someone female, someone who's older, somebody who's younger, and we are able to really pull together as a family unit, as a team, and really support one another.
But the thing you also have to remember too is that you can't let the business override the relationship of the family separately. You have to make sure you have time for that family relationship too.
And I think you two, like I said before, have a very interesting dynamic. Rick, you're an introvert. Natascha, you're the socialite. How does that dynamic translate in business and at home? Do you have a lot of strife and conflict?
Well, I think for me, I'm more the analytical type. I'm definitely can be an extrovert. I enjoy speaking with people, speaking in front of people, educating people, informing them. However, she lights up rooms. She lights up the world. I've often told her she lights up wherever she goes. She lights it up.
You light up my life.
I'm gonna go with a song. But yeah, so she was kind of the impetus of how C4 networking brought about, and how she's turned that into something very, very special.
Work-life balance as an adult is important, whether you're an entrepreneur or career professional. Here's what our guests had to say about the subject. Sometimes we get engrossed in the day-to-day stuff and we don't have a balanced life. So how can we achieve a balanced life? And is there such thing as a balanced life?
Yes, there is. It doesn't look the same for everybody. And that's where a lot of us get caught up, because we think it has to look a certain way. And it's very interesting that we're having this part of the discussion, because I've had a couple new clients come in, and that's what their problem is. They're stuck on the way things look. And because they're stuck on the way things look, they can't get past that to have what they could have. Life is not all one way. And why would I think I know what it looks like if I've never had it in the first place?
Do you talk about work at home? Because I know things can blend and it's kind of a lifestyle. It's hard not to talk about work at home. So let's talk about the boundaries a little bit. What other boundaries do you set, and how does that dynamic work at home?
One of the things that we've promised is that we don't work on Sundays. So we don't do, even though we broke that promise this past Sunday, we don't do any business related or talk about business on Sundays. Anytime we have any type of family event, like our son graduated from high school, we made an effort to go ahead and close down the office. So we just try to make sure we always put family first. You know, sometimes it's hard because you still got a business to run. We still got guys out there working. But we always just say, you know, family is most important, and so the business has to come second to that.
How do you balance family and business?
You know, you're right, it's a balance, and it's hard. It really is, because when you're like when Maxie, she's doing her business, we're strategizing together. We're planning things. We're into training all the time. We're talking to our members. We're following up. So that's a large part of our time, but we even bring our son into it to help us out at the same time. So we get to do things as a family that way.
So the way we do it is we really have to prioritize also us. So we know that since we work as a family together, that a lot of our time will be spent on work. But we have to make sure that we don't spend all of our time on work, but that we also get that core family time. So when we go on, you know, I call them vacations, but really it's work vacations.
A workation.
Workations, exactly. We definitely plan at least a few extra days where we have some time where we can explore and just spend time as a family together.
Yeah.
What do you think about season 1 of Mavericks on the Move so far? If you're in the DC, Baltimore area, join us for a live taping. In the meantime, don't forget to give this episode a thumbs up and a share. Stay tuned for some never-before-seen footage after the break. Visit MavericksOnTheMove.com to catch up on the latest episodes, stay up to date, browse pictures from past events, and to grab your signature merch. I've had so much fun this season. I know I looked all polished when you watched the aired episodes, but I'm nowhere near perfect. Here's some bloopers that show you just how much I screw up over the course of an episode.
Sorry. When I say Mavericks on the, you say move. Mavericks on the move. Okay, let's do that again. Y'all ready now? Yeah. Okay, that was practice. When I say Mavericks on the, you say move. Mavericks on the move. Good. Okay. Wait, time out. Sorry. Take your name tag off. Sorry, y'all.
And help high achievers. I can't cut. Can you cut?
You can't say cut. Where can people reach you, Greg?
Okay.
I called you Greg.
It's okay.
Cut. Wait, no. Wait. Sorry. When. All right, we get it together. When I say Mavericks on the, you say move. No. And I'm curious to know the My next guest is a man of many talents. He's an independent financial advisor, a professional development trainer, and I forgot.
Too many. I thought you were going to say where you could be reached.
It's okay. Just get off my
No. Okay. Okay, we're not rushing. You had plenty of time.
We got 10 million takes in picture business. Why is that? No, I'm not. This ain't gonna make the final cut.
Yeah, well.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
all right.
It's not going to.
Jamilah, I would like to thank you for having me.
Listen, get off my stage.
And that's a wrap for season 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you're catching this on YouTube, don't forget to give this a thumbs up, share it out, and subscribe to the channel. Visit MavericksOnTheMove.com to check out past episodes and learn how you can partner with us. Remember, each one teach one, each one reach one. I'll see you in 2020.